Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Horrbin, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. Breaking news this afternoon. The City of Windsor announced that Deputy Chief Stephen Laforet will be taking over as the city's fire chief. The handover is expected to take place over the next few months. Laforet has been a member of Windsor Fire and Rescue Services for over 25 years. Current Chief Bruce Montone will be staying on until April to help with the transition. There will be no Fiat Chrysler strike in Windsor. That is, pending on the ratification vote set for this Sunday at the university's St. Denis Center. Here's Michelle Laramie with more details.
2 down, 1 to go.
Unifor and Fiat Chrysler reached a tentative 4-year agreement minutes before the 11:59 strike deadline. The agreement between Unifor and FCA includes a $325 million commitment from the company to rebuild the Brampton Assembly Paint Shop. The Etobicoke casting plant will also receive some refurbishing to the tune of $6.5 million. The new agreement will follow the economic pattern set by GM. New hires will fall into the 10-year grow-in grid. They will receive an instant 2% wage increase at signing and an additional 2% each year of the agreement. Original hires will receive a total of 4% wage increase over the life of the deal. All members will receive about $12,000 in signing bonuses and lump sum payment. For MediaPlex News, I am Michelle Laramie.
Last week's major flood left houses in the area with extensive damage. Danielle Gagne has more.
The streets were flooded for hours after an intense rainstorm last Thursday. The mayors of Windsor and Tecumseh had issued a state of emergency for their cities due to the extensive amount of rain. There was so much water in the streets, locals could barely make their way around town. Cars were stalled in the middle of the road, making it even more difficult for people to get around. Insurance and construction companies have been hard at work helping those who were affected. Patty Matt, a resident in Tecumseh, tells us her experience.
We have $5,000 in coverage, and we have about $30,000 in damage, and we are going to apply to the disaster relief program to cover some of the essentials that we lost in the flooding.
Windsor received over 1,000 flood-related calls to its 311 center during this time. The fire department was also extremely busy responding to calls about electrical fires in basements. The flooding caused extensive damage to roofs and especially basements of homes in the area, with some residents getting up to 4 feet of water. Christine Tremblay, a resident in Tecumseh, tells us her story.
Yeah, we have they say about $35,000 damage. Insurance company is going to cover $25,000, and then we hope for the best after that.
The average amount of rainfall in the month of September in Windsor is 94 millimeters. In just under 24 hours, we received almost 200 millimeters or 8 inches of rain, which is about the size of my umbrella. I think I speak for everyone when I say I hope we don't have to use these anytime soon. For MediaPlex News, I'm Danielle Gagne.
It's time to head out to the streets where Nantanaa Mutharasu is standing by for an early look at the weather. Nantanaa?
Thanks, Alyssa. Down here at the corner of Victoria and University, it's a beautiful evening with temperatures hovering around 18 degrees Celsius. Overnight, it'll be mainly clear and dropping to 11. Join me a little later in the show and I'll tell you about our 3-day weather forecast. Alyssa?
Hosted by the University of Windsor, Life in Color was a success. Here's my report. The Life in Color Homecoming Festival painted the town a few weekends ago. This is the world's largest paint party and has been hosted in Windsor for 6 years as a part of Homecoming Week for new and returning University of Windsor students. Although put on by the university's Student Alliance, the event is open to anyone over the age of 16 who just wants to party and paint. Musa Hamadani is the president of the U of W Student Alliance. He said the event has been successful each year and has seen the turnout steadily increase.
We don't usually have big events that come to the city. However, this is among one of those really big things that happen in Windsor. It's a very progressive feature for the city, for the community as a whole, and for our students that are coming back home.
Host of the show and professional entertainer Sheldon Blake said he has a blast doing these shows with his team and painting the crowd. This year's paint party was Blake's first time in Windsor, and he said he loves the city. Sam Calvaruso is a student at the university who has lived in the area her whole life and had just as much fun being painted.
A lot. Like, there was a ton of paint. It was squirted everywhere. Like, ton of people in the back got to feel it. A ton of people in the front were soaked. And me and my best friend were really soaked by the end of it.
Whether you were on stage, behind the scenes, or part of the crowd, there is a 99% chance you had a ton of fun. For MediaPlex News, I'm Alyssa Horrbin. Cell phones in classrooms sometimes don't mix. Reporter Aaron Lombardi tells us more.
In today's society, technology plays a large role in our day-to-day lives. Nearly every job requires for an employee to carry a cell phone for easy accessibility and contact provisions, but is it starting to become too much? Studies show that children as young as 7 years old are gaining access to their own phones for personal reasons, but should students really need phones for school? Robbie Agnew is a student from St. Clair College who believes that students need to put down their cell phones when in the classroom.
Phones should not be used in classrooms because it takes away from the learning that the prof is expressing to all the students. I believe that before every class they should maybe put the phones at the front of the class so that every attention is focused on the teacher that they're teaching. I also think that there could be exceptions, like if you're in a laboratory and you need the internet for a resource, then maybe you can use the phone. But overall, I'd say put the phones down for the lecture and you'll learn more.
Although owning a phone has many pros, a student owning a cell phone and using it regularly in the classroom can cause some issues. Teachers have reported cheating and other distractions caused by cell phones in their school as an everyday happening that they have to deal with. Disruptions in the classroom, such as ringing phones and texting students, have stopped many lessons. Although we seemingly view phones as a necessity today, one must ask if they are truly needed in our education system. I'm Aaron Lombardi reporting for MediaPlex News.
The Rides for Refuge fundraiser was held in Windsor last week. Stephanie Zagrafis has the story.
Ride for Refuge took place on October 1st to raise money for those in need. This year it was held at the Downtown Mission. Over 75 riders and walkers and 30 volunteers came to support the cause.
We hosted the Ride for Refuge because it helps the hungry, homeless, and hurting across Windsor. It's also a collaborative event, so it's helping other nonprofits working with displaced individuals or those in need of refuge. So we're partnering with Christian Horizons as well, and that was a great opportunity to collaborate and raise funds together to help people in need.
Collectively, since 2004, Ride for Refuge has made $11 million for people who have lost their homes, been abused and or are vulnerable, and for those who have been exploited. I'm Stephanie Zagrafis, and this has been MediaPlex News.
Many of us are list makers, and Katie Panasuk is no exception as she talks about her checklist as a photojournalist.
Being a freelance photojournalist, people always ask me what kind of camera equipment I travel with. So for your Photojournalist Minute, let's click our way through my basic checklist. First, make sure you are prepared for weather conditions. The importance of packing rain gear can make the difference between dry gear and a waterlogged camera. Second, make sure you are prepared battery-wise. If you have a plug-in charger like mine, these adapters are a great thing to have, and they are fairly cheap to acquire. Third, make sure you have a variety of SD cards handy. Depending on just one SD card can be a dangerous game to play. Fourth on my list is which lens to bring. My suggestion is a minimum of 2 depending on the trip. A nice wide-angle lens and a telephoto lens usually get the job done. Last but not least, number 5 is the most important, a good tripod. A steady camera can make the difference between a sharp shot or a blurry one. Remember, being prepared never lost a photographer the shot. I'm Katie Panasik with your Photojournalist Minute.
Heading back out to the streets now, Nantanaa is standing by with our 3-day forecast. Nantanaa?
Things are seemingly back to normal after all the rain we had last month. Did you know that the Windsor Airport collected 94 millimeters of rain over the 2 heaviest days, the same amount of rain that the city received over the entire month of September? Now let's take a look at the weather. On Wednesday, we can expect a sunny summer-like high of 24 and a low of 10. Thursday, it'll be mainly sunny with a more seasonal high of 13 and a low of 4. And Friday, it'll be again sunny with a high of 14 and a low of 9. I am Nantanaa Mutharasu, and this is from the corner of University and Victoria. Back to you in the studio, Alyssa.
Controversy arose when a football player decided not to stand for the American national anthem. Todd Sheeran reports.
Malcolm X once said, "A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything." During the NFL preseason, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick chose to exercise his First Amendment right, remaining seated during the national anthem in protest of police violence. Kaepernick told NFL media, "I am not going to stand up to show pride for a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way." Kaepernick's actions caused outrage amongst fans of all classes who started publicly burning his jerseys, booing him during games, demanding punishment, and even his release from the league. President Obama defended Kaepernick, saying he was exercising his constitutional right to bring attention to racial injustice. Until 2010, NFL players stayed in the locker room during the national anthem and didn't have to stand at all. Where was the uproar then? The NFL treats patriotism as a brand and uses its players as a tool to promote it. Last year, it was revealed that the Department of Defense had paid NFL teams $6.1 million between 2012 and 2015 for military tributes at games, including field-size American flags, flyovers, and fireworks to stimulate patriotism in Americans. So who's right and who's wrong? You have the right to decide.
The University of Windsor is losing athletes to American schools, and as Ryan Blevins reports, they aren't happy.
The University of Windsor Athletic Department is seeking some personal space from an international competitor after multiple athletes in different sports decided to unexpectedly transfer to American schools. The University of Windsor decided to file a grievance. The University of Windsor now has a case open with the NCAA following what they feel was the illegal recruitment of multiple athletes. The most recent player to transfer was second-year standout Isaiah Osborne. Osborne now attends the University of Texas El Paso and left the University of Windsor in mid-August. His former coach, Chris Oliver, says he left a lot behind.
Well, Isaiah was going to be a top 5 player in the country, I felt, after he went through a season this year, and clearly he showed his talent last year, and he was in the mix to being a very impactful player in our program, but also throughout the country.
University of Windsor Athletic Director Mike Havey filed the grievance with the NCAA, but says his motives could be misinterpreted.
Student athletes are free to choose where they attend school. Our concern is more about the act itself, being unethical and unfair.
It is yet to be seen if the American schools will agree with Havey. Until then, the university is forced to wait. For MediaPlex News, I'm Ryan Blevins.
In university hockey, the Lancers faced off against the University of Michigan last week. Garrett Fedor has the story.
The Windsor Lancers men's hockey team is looking for their second Queen's Cup in 4 years. In order to prepare, the Lancers went south of the border to face NCAA Division I opponents in exhibition play over a weekend series. To open the series, Windsor faced the Bowling Green Falcons in a game that got heated and ended with a 3-2 loss and the teams exchanging blows. The last game of the series was against their highest profile opponent in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on October 2nd. For the first time since 1982, and only the third time ever, the Windsor Lancers played the University of Michigan Wolverines. In their previous meeting, the Lancers fell 11-2. From the start, it looked like they would have a similar scoreline, with the Lancers falling behind 1-0 just 2 minutes in. Unlike their previous meeting, the Lancers rebounded and matched their strong Division I opponents in shots, hits, and penalties. Wolverines head coach Red Berenson says he's proud of how his team showed Sunday, with the 3 goalies sharing the shutout.
It was a good feeling. I'm sure Steve Shields will be talking about this, and we'll be debating it maybe all year, but right now it's a good start for all 3.
While the Lancers did have a goal on the board, it was later disallowed due to a high stick. Despite defeating the Lancers 2-0, Wolverines captain and Victoria, BC native Nolan DeLong applauded Windsor's efforts.
The level's definitely there. There's guys that have played in similar leagues as us, played in OHL and things like that, so the tempo's there, physicality's there, and the pace is there for sure.
The Lancers season opener is Friday, October 7th, as they host the Toronto Varsity Blues at 7 p.m. at the South Windsor Arena. For MediaPlex News Now, I'm Garrett Fedor.
With the Memorial Cup coming to town, the WFCU Center is being spruced up. Mariah Atherley reports.
City Council has made the decision to spend roughly $1 million to renovate the WSCU in time for next year's Memorial Cup. The council has agreed with administration to make upgrades worth $990,000. Also, another $250,000 for a new media platform above the suite level A new rink and board glass will also be installed along with a new dressing room.
On Monday night, council approved the $1 million renovation to the facility, which includes an additional media platform, which would be on the north side of the facility, all the way above the suite level. That way, we'll be able to accommodate the 150 media that we're expecting for the event.
The cost for the Memorial Cup is being looked at as an investment as the city is anticipation thousands of people for the national championship. For MediaPlex News, I'm Mariah Atherley.
Live television is a big part of what we do here at the MediaPlex. Lindy Colleen Morgan tells us more.
Cue Brett.
Hi, my name is Brett Henderson and you're watching MediaPlex Fall Launch.
Go.
MediaPlex News is back at it again, as it launched its fall premiere this past week. The MediaPlex launched its 6th season of live reports this past Tuesday. The show was put on by the students of the journalism and converged media programs at St. Clair College. Dave Harrison is a faculty professor who oversees the show. Dave said the first show for this year has started off on a good note.
The first show of the year went fantastic. It was a lot of fun. I think the students got a lot of experience. They saw a lot of things that they maybe hadn't experienced up to now. And at the end of the day, we got a good start to the year.
He also feels that as the year progresses, students will obtain more experience. Brett Henderson is a second-year student in the journalism program. He was one of the hosts for the show's launch. Brett says the show gives students an example for what they may be expected to do later on.
It gives us a platform, basically, to get used to television, because when we graduate, we're going to be on television. We're going to be doing these things, so the hands-on experiences are really what it offers for us.
You can catch MediaPlex News live every Tuesday at 6 on TV Cogeco Cable 11. For MediaPlex News, I'm Lindy Colleen Morgan.
Canada is home to some of the finest grown potatoes. Here's Brett Henderson with your Food Minute.
Hi, I'm Brett Henderson, and this is your Potato Minute. We live in Canada, home to some of the best seafood, syrups, and socks to ever see the light of day. But one thing for me that trumps all of our amazing exports is potatoes, specifically PEI's potatoes. PEI farmers have been growing potatoes since the 1700s, and they grow about 88,000 acres of potatoes each year. The industry is worth over $1 billion to the PEI economy and exports potatoes to over 20 countries annually. Potatoes range in type and color and are used for a variety of reasons: mashed, baked, twice baked, and my favorite, triple baked. That involves a lot of baking. The deep, rich red soil in PEI contains a high level of iron oxide, which gives it its deep red color and nutrients it needs to grow the island's beautiful potatoes. Make sure to pick up some beautiful Canadian-grown potatoes next time you're in the supermarket. I'm Brett Henderson, and this has been your Potato Minute.
We have a new feature on the show this year. What's up, Windsor? Mikaela Morin joins us live. Mikaela?
There's never a dull moment when it comes to Windsor's events and nightlife. I'm Mikaela Morin with What's Up, Windsor? Every Thursday, Milk Coffee Bar hosts an open jam Shazam night where local musicians share their love for raw performance. Whether you're a singer, instrumentalist, songwriter, poet, or rapper, join the good vibes and go express yourself. This Friday kicks off the start of Walkerville's Craft Beer Fest. It takes place Friday and Saturday and features local and craft brewers from across the province. This event is about local culture and the flourishing craft beer movement happening in Ontario. I'm Mikaela Morin, and this has been What's Up, Windsor? Back to you, Alyssa.
We have other exciting programs at the MediaPlex, and the PR program is one of them. Check it out.
Students in the Public Relations program here at St. Clair College have a unique opportunity. Not only do they come here to learn all of the skills they need to be public relations specialists, but they learn in a multi-medium MediaPlex. And it's so important to be in a facility like this, where they know that when they go out, they will be competitive in their field.
I decided to come to St. Clair College after university because I kind of feel like I needed a little bit more to kind of make myself marketable.
I am a hands-on learner. I'm a doer, so I learn best and I can retain information more when I'm actually out using the skills that I'm taught. An example of where this program does that well was our photography classes. So in class we were taught different elements of photography. We were taught the rule of thirds and leading lines and angle and perspective, and then we were actually sent out into downtown Windsor, into the streets, and we were told to capture photos containing those different elements and bring them back to class and present them. And that's something that you can't just learn in the classroom. You have to learn that by doing it. So we actually developed an eye for photography and for getting good shots, and I really don't think that that can be taught in the classroom.
Hands-on training means they'll be marketable, that they can hit the road running when they go into a company. And that's what's setting our public relations program apart. And it's also why employers are coming to St. Clair's public relations program looking for good employees.
Right now, I'm interning in corporate communications at Caesars Windsor. It's a really good place for an internship for a PR student because there are so many things that the casino does.
After graduation, I was offered a part-time position at Caesars Windsor. So I am now an external communications specialist at Caesars Windsor.
We give them a skill set that I believe will make them the most marketable of any public relations program.
If you're looking for a top-notch education, look no further than St. Clair College.
Times are changing, and they're changing faster than most people can understand. It's not my parents' generation anymore, and I can't just go by their ideas because it's not necessarily relevant anymore.
There's a jobless generation out there walking out of universities with no idea how to engage their industry. A degree isn't necessarily a pathway to their career. Being industry ready is.
I have to take control of my future.
The job market has changed, and I have to adapt. I'm not just getting theory, I'm getting skills.
Through placement, I'm shown which areas I can specialize in and which path it takes to get there.
I struggled a lot in high school because, people just kept lecturing at me, and that's just not my way of learning.
I learn by doing. I learn by reacting to a situation. St. Clair puts me directly into my industry. I'm dealing with real patients, real life situations. It's not just theory, it's not book work anymore.
I think it's so important to be taught by industry professionals because they know what they're doing, and they're not just teaching because they read it in a book somewhere. They're teaching because they've lived it.
I got that genuine feeling from St. Clair, like it was just home. Like I wasn't uncomfortable, I wasn't uneasy, it felt nice.
I have to take control of my future, and that's what I'm doing.
I got a gut feeling with St. Clair that was great, and I definitely wasn't let down.
St. Clair is my choice, and I'm glad it's the right one for me.
I choose to take control of my future, and my path is St. Clair College.
I choose to take control of my future.
My path
is St. Clair College.
I choose to be here.
If you're looking specifically at journalism or media convergence, watch this.
Journalism enables people to be well informed. It's documenting history. It's an extraordinary way for people to be connected with their community.
What happens in the world affects us. What happens in our community affects us. What happens in the province affects us. And we get to be the eyes and ears and tell the stories. There are many stories that need to be told, and those things add value to our life.
I'm always meeting new people. I'm learning about things that interest me, like topics that I want to learn more about.
It's neat to know that so many people are relying on me. It makes you strive for perfection, or it makes you strive for accuracy.
The journalism program here at St. Clair College is a convergence journalism program. Convergence means the merging together of print, radio, and television, and the web, and putting all different stories into 3 or 4 different platforms.
In 21st century newsrooms, journalists have to be able to do it all.
We ask every one of our reporters to tell stories in multiple ways.
There's a different style of writing for print than there is for radio, than there is for television. And it's really important that the information gets out that is true to those platforms.
We are one of the few, if not the only, program that is actually taking students to a live broadcast and giving them that opportunity and that experience.
I've gained a lot of self-confidence. I used to be a really nervous person, a really shy person, but I think this program's helped me come out my shell. It's given me something that I love to do, and that's made me a better person.
I find that the students that come out of St. Clair College are already at or above where some of our broadcast employees have been over the last several years.
I feel that I made the greatest decision I could 2 years ago by choosing this program, because I have learned so much, and I think that I can only grow from here.
I would hands down recommend the program to someone considering it. I would recommend it to someone that's not even considering it. They teach you such a vast array of different skills, different platforms, different things that you could really apply to so many different careers.
Based on literally hundreds of interns I've seen over the years, St. Clair students are better prepared to go into the work environment in media than most students coming out of colleges and universities across North America.
I think it's that very comprehensive curriculum that we have that creates converged journalists that sets this journalism school apart.
A local organization is making quilts for wounded veterans. Katie Panasiuk has the story.
The Ladies of Quilter Valor Canada come together every month to volunteer their time and give quilts to wounded veterans across the country. The last ceremony was presented at the Essex branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. 3 local veterans were recognized and thanked with a quilted hug from the ladies who put in all the hard work. Janet Bergeron is the regional representative and has made 13 quilts since she began in late May.
It's just to show our appreciation, give our quilted hugs to our veterans, and let them know how much we appreciate them.
Jeffrey Artali has served 5 tours and says he is very happy to receive his quilt.
I thank the ladies for the quilt I received today. It's an honor. I just appreciate all the hard work that goes into these and the fact that they're given out to us wounded vets.
These quilts are not a badge of honor. They are a hug of comfort during the veterans' recovery. Quilters have made and presented 7,500 quilts across Canada. They hope to reach their goal, 10,000 quilts by 2018. I'm Katie Panasiuk reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
Thank you for watching. I'm Alyssa Horrbin, and this has been MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.